Yes, for those of you asking the question, this is a shirt with my characters on it because I'm just that extra. Hello everyone, my name is Sydney and I've been on hiatus because I went to the Dominican Republic and then I had spring break and I thought, you know, I'm gonna film over spring break. And then I didn't because it's like Saturdays. But I took to Instagram and I asked this so that anyone who had any questions about my books or just why I write or why I read can ask me something because I'm short of content. And surprisingly, y'all delivered. Like, that's really dope because I figured I was lame and nobody wanted to know about it. But I have the questions on my phone, so I'm going to answer them. I made a video when I finished book one, when I like actually finished it, like done, I'm not gonna touch it. Well, first of all, I was blonde. You see that that's changed. Number two, I was wearing the ugliest outfit, which sounds stupid, but I was. You know, I didn't know if I would actually go back and change anything, and I did. I changed the title. I had set titles for so long. I was like, this is gonna be this, this is gonna be this, this is gonna be this, and I'm not changing it. It took my boyfriend mispronouncing it so many times that it hurt my soul. So it now has a different title. Alright, so the first question, you know, whoop-de-doo, what's your book about? Well, I'll give you the elevator pitch and then I'll give you the actual, like, snippet. Okay, so the elevator pitch, you know, you're in the elevator for what, 20 seconds tops? Sydney, what's your book about? I mean, if it were up to you, if you could either have your true love or a supernatural power, knowing you'll never have the other, what would you pick? And you're probably thinking, that's stupid, obviously a superpower. But see, some of you in my comments are gonna be like, no, who wouldn't want true love? Duh. And that's how it is proven to work. I even, freshman year, when I first started writing this and polled everyone on this subject, I said, okay, if you could have a superpower or if you could have your spouse, what would you pick? And so many of them were like, duh, superpower. But then they're like, wait, say that again? And that's when I add the conditions. The conditions are, you will be killed if you try and get the other. Like, let's say that I pick my husband. If I try and, you know, catch a superpower, I'm dead. So it works, and if you have a particular side about it, let me know in the comments because I want to see who are the romantics and who are the power-hungry people. Okay, but in more detail, when you reach adulthood in the nation of Omni, you get to make that call on your life. And our main character, as on my shirt, her name is Maryam. Maryam, M-A-R-Y-A-M. Maryam. Do not mispronounce it. I will hurt someone. I already changed the title. I am not changing any character names. So, our main character, Maryam, hits the age of adulthood, which means she now gets to make the call on her life. But in the prologue, you see that there is someone specially connected to her, and that person reaches the age of adulthood before she does. So he gets to make his call first, and when he chooses incorrectly, her plans are derailed. You see where I'm going here? Probably not. So she's about to walk into her granting ceremony. That's what they're called when they get to make that decision. She walks into her ceremony just like clueless. She hasn't decided because she's just, you know, thrown off. And somehow she walks out of it unscathed, because the person facilitating the decision process decides, okay, I've never done this before, but we're gonna give it a go. I will give you 1 year to get your bearings and make a choice, but in the meantime, you can test run any superpower you would like that, you know, society can choose from. And at the same time, you can love whoever you want. And you're thinking, shoot, that's good. Can I get that? Well, you see, the tension between Maryam and our facilitator are not so hot. So she's thinking, this is a trap. And that's when the lady is like, oh, it is. Because in exchange for those special privileges, she has to put her life on camera, in the public eye, for all of society to see. Still, she takes it. She's not going to make that important of a decision on a whim. But you're thinking, is that it? Is it just like, you know, she's like a public figurehead? Is she the bread and circuses for this people? Yes. Yes, she is. Because the facilitator, I keep saying facilitator, she has a specific role. I just can't say it. She and this other group are using Miriam's time in the spotlight and in front of the people to prepare for war, and they both want her. However, only one side wants her alive. Good? Good. Are there any books that you don't like? This must just be like a reading question. I'm looking at my shelf. It's really hard for me to find a book that I don't like. I either DNF it, which means definitely not finished. I think definitely not finished. Did not finish. Hello. I either DNF'd the book or I liked it, but it was just very hard for me to read. I actually finished this book. I went on a reading spree. I think it was 2017. As soon as the new year hit, I read a book a day. This book was hard. It was a really hard book. It was one of the hardest books I've ever read. And it was really good, but it was so heartbreaking. And that is Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. If you just want to like rip your heart in half, I totally recommend this. I'm not really one for contemporaries. I usually like, you know, the phantasmal worlds and, you know, the villains. I love a good villain. I love a good villain. I enjoyed it. I gave it like 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I was crying. Are there any books out there similar to the vibes of your own story? That's a great question. Okay, so maybe just a dash of Red Queen ish. I don't know. I don't know if Six of Crows would bleed into it at all. Renegades. There you go. If you've read Renegades by Marissa Meyer, that is about as close as it gets. It's not as like childish, which sounds like I'm downplaying it, but like Renegades feels like a children's novel, but just, you know, young adult size. It's like this thick. That's kind of the way I explain it, because when I say that my book has fantasy elements, they're like, oh, is it like Harry Potter? First of all, I haven't read Harry Potter. I need to, so if you want to donate the books, I'll set up a P.O. box or something. But when I have to explain it, they think it's Harry Potter, and I'm like, no, think Renegades in book form. Think of Avengers if you're referencing like movies. Was there anything that you had to change in your book after seeing that there was something similar to another story? Oh, honey. First of all, I already told you this, but I had to change the titles because no one could pronounce the first title and I was just distraught. Second, when I was giving you the summary, remember how I said there were 2 sides preparing for war? One of the sides was a rebellion group and I called them the Matrix. And apparently there was a Matrix movie that I just hadn't watched, you know, red pill, blue pill. I'm so smart. So I had to change that. It has a new name. That's all I'll say about that. When I first started writing this, I wrote it for a writing competition and I wrote a 50-page version of it. And I had 2 names I had to change. I'll give you one of them because it's not on the shirt. It's the main character's best girlfriend. Her name in the 50-page one was Carrington. And then I was like, that's long and annoying and it doesn't have a cool spelling error. Let's change that. So now her name is Lindsay, L-Y-N-D-S-E-Y. Normal name, weird spellings. That's usually what I do. Just wait till you meet Porter. Let's see. Who are your favorite authors? Listen up. Victoria Aveyard, I'm getting on a kick of hers. I'm ready for Christine Riccio to publish her contemporary book because I don't read a lot of contemporary, but I love her booktube and she's just so vibrant and hilarious and like I feel like that would reflect in her books, so I'm really excited for that. Leigh Bardugo's a good one. I really like her. Sarah J Maas. John Green can pack a punch, but he hasn't given us anything since Turtles All the Way Down, so Tahad Amafi is really good if you want just like a laid back like semi-fantasy. I'm in the middle of trying to get into Rainbow Rowell because I read Fangirl and I loved it, and Wayward Son is about to come out. Maybe about to, maybe not about to, but I need to read Carry On. So, do you do short stories? Ooh, that's a good question. No? Let me explain. I don't write short stories unless it's for a project. I can write short stories. I just don't because I want to spend as much time as I can on my novel, like my large, big novel. However, I mentioned earlier that I went to the Dominican Republic on a mission trip and 14 girls stayed in one room, 6 sets of bunk beds or whatever. We did story time and I got past the chance to, you know, tell a story. So I told a short story and they liked it. So if you know, you know. That was a really, really good time. How many pages do you want your next book to be? Great question. Okay, so the deal is I wrote my first book in, I don't remember the font name. It's like Athelis, I don't know. I think it's Athelis. Font 11, 1.5 space. But then I went online and I realized that in order to publish, it has to be in, Times New Roman, font 12, double space. So my first book, when I had it in the original font, it was about 367 pages. Not bad, right? When I had to change the font and the spacing and yada da da da, 624 pages? Scary. Right now, because I'm drafting, I still have parts of book 2 in that old Athelis font. Now where I'm writing, I'm in Times New Roman, font 12, double space. Maybe not double space, but I know it's Times New Roman. So just from where we are now, I want to hit at least 600 normal pages. Not the double space. Normal. It's going to be gigantic. I'm gonna do copy edits and I'm actually gonna put the whole thing in double space and it's gonna be like 800 pages. That's gonna be wild. Do you agree that every author puts themselves into a character at least in part? Yes, which may be controversial. The way I see it, I'm learning about this in philosophy and ethics, is that because of human nature, everyone is born inherently selfish. So even if it's an accident, I do believe they do it in some form or fashion. I mean, I do it myself. I'll own up to that. My main character, I gave her one of my biggest flaws. Because, every main character needs a flaw. Otherwise, your story is just kind of like, golden boy, yay. My biggest issue sometimes is I don't stand up for myself and I don't understand my capabilities. And I kind of downplay them. Miriam does that in the story too. So sometimes you're thinking, is she actually gonna go through with this? Like, does she actually believe in herself? So yeah, thank me for that. Should we expect a plot twist in your story? What is your ideal writing environment? Sound, food, noise, place, etc. I'm very picky about my environment. I want to be sitting in something soft, whether it's a bed or a chair or whatever. I want it to be dark. I want there to be multicolored lights. I want the air to be cold. I want my Christmas candle on, and I have to have music and earbuds. Which then leads to the next question. Do you listen to music while you write? What kind? Yes, 1,000 times yes. I also cannot read without music. I cannot comprehend reading if there is not music in my ears, which sounds very odd. When we have to read for school in class, if we can't use earbuds, I'm toast. I have to have music when I read, and therefore I have to have it when I write. I usually pick a song as I'm writing and just keep it on loop the whole time. I don't do shuffle play or anything like that. I specifically pick it out. I usually find it whose lyrics match the mood of my writing. Because I'm such a word person, lyrics are so important. That's why I hate techno. But I think my all-around go-to songs come from the Imagine Dragons' Smoke and Mirrors album. They have very good, battle songs. Specifically, Warriors, Gold. There it is. Because I have a motif of gold in my novel. Also, yes, I use motifs because I feel advanced or something. I also like listening to the instrumental. Believe it or not, I do. I kind of just backtracked on what I said. But sometimes when I'm writing the more sentimental scene, there are scenes I write that hurt me deeply, even though I know what's going to happen and if it's going to get resolved or not. But it still hurts. And so that's when I pull up movie soundtracks, instrumental orchestral stuff. Currently, I like the 5 Feet Apart motion picture soundtrack, the instrumentals. Also the actual songs, but the instrumentals too. Those are really good. Are any of your characters based on your real life? Is there any that we would know? T! Okay, so my villain. Oh, I'm gonna get beat for this. Mind you, I started writing this freshman year of high school. Freshman year. I'm a senior now. When I first showed up to high school, I was the scared little peach. Didn't know what I was gonna do with myself. And my third class was history, right before lunch. And some days my teacher made me lose my appetite. She was scary. She was a good scary. I'm gonna point that out right now. She is one of the best teachers I've ever come across. She knows her stuff. She's got it locked down. She does not take crap from anyone. Her strong personality is very evident in my novel. Also, I used her first name. Who is your favorite character to write for? Okay, all of them? Do I get tired of my main character sometimes because she gets the most POVs? Maybe a little. However, if I had to pick a favorite, storyline wise, even if it's not their POV, Daphne's storyline. She has one of the biggest transformations that needs to be made. She's got a touch of darkness to her. Nobody knows that that's a pun, but I also like writing for Elise. She's my softie, she's a nurse. In my book, they're called medics. She has healing powers, and she's just so soft-spoken, but she, unlike Miriam, stands up for herself, which is a good counter, even though you have Miriam, who's like this big hero, but she won't stand up for herself. And then you have Elise, who is, you know, small and frail and overlooked, but she stands up for herself, and that's how she's seen. What are those drawings you put on your highlights? Are those your characters? Yes, those are my commissions. And if you don't know what that is, basically I pay a digital artist to draw up my vision of my characters. It's so fascinating what these people come up with. I've only done 3. One of them is my phone case, but I'll put the actual picture right here. That is Miriam and Maddox duking it out. This is Riker, who is on my shirt, even though he does not have a shirt. I made him into a pillow because he's just awesome. Also, people ask me, why does he have a clock on his chest? It's a magic tattoo, and when the clock strikes 12 on his tattoo, he dies. And then I just recently got one back for Elise, who I was talking about earlier, and this is what she looks like. Wonderful. The girl who did Riker and Elise, her name is Danny. She's fantastic. I'm going to be using her frequently when I get more money. And then a girl named Jessie did these two, and I'm just so blessed.
This is the part where I also mentioned that I had 3 other commissions, 2 by an artist named Motolime on Instagram, and then another one, which I'm blanking on. Oh, yeah. Drawing Llamas on Instagram. She drew Daphne. Yay!
I honestly wish I could buy enough for every character, so if you don't know what to get me for my birthday, just give me cash so I can buy commissions. That's a hint. That's a hint. How do you come up with ideas on what to write about, and where do you find them? That's a good question. It kind of just sprouts in my head. I'm very analytical. I like to question things, so I take either basic concepts in government, society, or like movies and stuff, and I kind of re-question them. So how my book came about was, at first I was like, what if superheroes who saved the world got to run the government? And I tried that and I was like, it needs some tweaking. Then it was about, well, what if it's not superheroes? What if it's their powers? And what if you could get a leg up in society if you had one? And that's when we started getting a little bit closer, and I was like, but they'd be on top of the world. What about the pores? Do they not have anything? They do. They have the one thing that superheroes don't have. And that's when I thought about, what if those superheroes, if there were any, couldn't save the one they were in love with? What if superheroes couldn't be in love? What if they had to decide whether to be normal and be loved, or just to have power and be alone? There it is. And that is how it was born. My last question is, how many times did you literally want to say, screw it, and start over? Absolutely none. There's always room for editing. I never think that you should trash the whole project. I'm so deeply invested in the story, and you know, if it's really that bad sometimes, I'll go back and edit. But I would never trash it, at least on purpose. My computer, however, always make sure you have stable technology when you're writing something big like this. It wouldn't always save. I would write 2 chapters at a time and I'd have to go back and rewrite them because they would disappear. Don't write it on a flash drive, because I wrote it on a flash drive and then my computer fell and it broke the flash drive and the whole book was gone. Got to rewrite that. It's probably why it's taken me 4 years to finish one freaking book. If you really love something, you can't give up on it. You have to stick with it. And that's just what I've done. Wow, this was actually so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below so that I can make more videos for more people who watch. I love talking about my novel. It's hard to be sort of discreet, but not discreet. I can't give you the title because I don't want anyone to steal it. Comment down below if you have any advice for querying or waiting or writing, or if you want to learn more and me make more videos. I think I'll make a book writing playlist so that maybe I can make more and produce content that I'm actually obsessed with. I'm sorry that my bookish videos have been on hiatus. It's been a time, but we're back. Once more, my name is Sydney. I make new videos hopefully every Monday, and until next time, bye.